Today's session is on including security in your automation. It's taken from some experience I've had at previous work and sort of at my current place. So overall sort of contents are sort of generic sort of who am I, where I'm from, and they're sort of into the talk really. So a bit about me. Currently I'm a software development test at a company called Untitled and former Vector, an automation engineer and a DevOps engineer over there. Contribute to open source projects such as Cypress and Vue.js. Sort of a bit of an initiative which NetSea like to be involved in open source. That's something I enjoy doing. Massive fan of IoT and smart homes, so anytime I have a chance to play with something, whether it's an Alexa device or something like that, I'm getting involved with. Massive coffee snob, I'm not afraid to admit it. And I shall soon find out from this presentation, I'm obsessed with gifs. So just a brief little bit about NetSea. We're based in Manchester City Centre, team of about 40 of us, dev teams about sort of 20, 25, team of data scientists, developers, software developers and test. Really cool place, doing some cool stuff at the open market. If you want to know any more, come grab me on break, so I'll have a chat. So, what is security testing? So to me, it's testing the authentication, authorization of your applications, it's scanning for vulnerabilities. My part of what I've been doing around this has been highlighting any of these issues over to the development team, prioritising them, scheduled in, and sort of trying to ensure it's involved within the test plan and the earliest sort of things as possible. I've been involved in a team where security testing was a last minute thing and it was slowed down releases, it slowed down everything. So getting involved as soon as possible I found much more beneficial. So a little bit of background to this talk. This all came around when I was involved in a team which was re-architecting a solution from an old school cloud services application into a all shiny, all singing, all dancing microservices app. During this, we realised that the automation we had in place was all front-end related. There was limited back-end sort of automation. Anything which was sort of API automation was there to support our front-end. Sort of front-end tests, it wasn't anything focused specifically on that. So I went through and I built out a sort of API testing framework for us, covering all of our existing APIs as they were in our cloud service. So as we migrated each service over into its own microservice, we could run an automation against it to make sure that it was running as it previously had done. During this re-architecture, we had a bit of a shift and decided that we were going to implement the security software development lifecycle and sort of go down that approach. So with this, we were planning about security testing and stuff a lot earlier on. So we were doing lots of exploratory sessions using Postman, using Burp, using Fiddler, intercepting these requests, playing around with bits and pieces between different microservices. And it dawned on a couple of us of, well, we've got this API framework that we've built for our test automation. Why don't we start adding some of this stuff into our test automation and have it for free, just ticking over our smokes and our regression runs? So that's what we ended up doing. So, the approach we took was we did fuzz testing around our APIs. So any areas where we were passing in parameters, such as like an ID for something or anything which goes to a body, we passed through a fuzz list of characters. So we built up a large list of characters which involve like right to left characters, 2-bit characters, ASCII, Japanese emoticons, all sorts of stuff like that, things which will break a validation model, and things which in theory your API should just reject and push away. We were reclaiming requests. We had one-use tokens in flight, so we wanted to see what we could do around those. I had the benefit of my developers in the same room as me. I actually had the same repository done for code, so I could pull out what they were using to make the tokens in the services and see what happened if I slightly sort of spoof the tokens over or manipulate the tokens over to see if what happened. One thing which came for free out of this really as well was a nice little validation step which checked all of our all the response headers which came up from any API. So if we added a new API endpoint, we could just assert that it had the set HTTP response headers that we were expecting. If it didn't, it would fail, and we knew that the new response wasn't hitting what we set as our standard. So, example of an API, it's posting status to Twitter. Header is basically an authorization bearer token, which is your login information, which your HU. Payload is a JSON payload, which is basically the body, which is a string. So we would look at this in Postman and go, okay, what happens if sends a no authorization? What happens if the bearer token to Twitter lasts for about 3 minutes? But what happens if I send one of these after 5 minutes or modify it so it looks like it's out of date? Can I send a tweet as someone else using my bearer token? And also it's like it takes JSON format, what happens if I pass in just an image, what happens if I pass in SQL, that type of thing. So one of the examples that we, from a API which we use, so there is a event endpoint which we had endpoints across the state which would send these requests onto a central hub. This request would contain an authorization header, so an identity to identify which machine it was coming from, and a JSON payload of some sort of event that happened on this machine. So we had to play around and we had a look at what would happen if we sent over corrupt JSON, what would happen if the JSON file wasn't valid JSON. So this was actually an interesting one. During this entire process, I had one of my colleagues puts this in JSON Derulo for the entire thing. So we decided it would be funny to take a picture of JSON Derulo, convert it to JSON, and see what would happen if we sent valid JSON but not actual JSON through the service. So it didn't handle it very well. Also around, could accept any other file formats such as SQL, PNGs, gifs, anything. As well as JSON, which had the headers of the JSON file removed, so standard validator couldn't validate if that was a valid JSON file or not. This went in, caught a couple of issues initially, fixed those issues by adding in a NuGet package which was around validating JSON files, nice little simple thing. Then one day, one of the devs was doing a extension to this API, saw this new library available, updated it, ran our tests, and they all failed. And turned out that the new version of this JSON library, which was designed to validate JSON, fell over, it passed to something that wasn't JSON, which wasn't ideal. But we caught that on a dev's machine before it had a chance to go into a PR or anything like that. So these tests were catching stuff as early as possible. The dev reverted his change for based on the library, and we pushed through. About a week later, there was another version out which was fine. So we then took this approach to our UI. So at this point, we had a nice big robust API test framework and some legacy sort of front-end automation. So we went through any input fields that were on across the site. We by the big list of strings that we had, the fuzz list at it, see what our validation model was like, what happened there. We also injected directly into the database which our front end read from some of these sort of fuzz list names to see how the front end would then render them, as well as your JavaScript and SQL injection into any area where there's a search box or anything which would pose a problem. During this whole time, these were written in Selenium at the time. We were validating the browser console to make sure the responses were as they should be, validating that error messages were handled as they should be. Latterly, I've been doing this within Cypress, so similar effect as well. So yeah, the front end was very much an extension of the APIs. The next stage of this really was all of our tests now were running in smokes, running locally on test machines if they made a change in a certain area. running nightly in a regression pipeline. We thought, okay, we've done what we know about our application, things have changed, what's going on here. Can we be a little bit proactive and install something which potentially could do something else? So we had a look at OWASP. It was something which we'd been running manually periodically anyway. We were using Jenkins for our test automation, so we thought, there's a Jenkins plugin, let's give it a crack, see what happens. Started off initially by just doing targeted scans of the URL, so went to our portal and scanned it, gave a back report of what it found. Tends to release against the top 10, OWASP top 10 and a couple of other places. We then incorporated these into our smoke tests, so with a little bit of pushing, we were able to get the plugin to run and put on our WebDriver instances. So we had OWASP scan running in the back of our smoke test running. So for every 5 to 10 minute smoke test run we had for every build, we also have now a nice little ZAP report coming out alongside it. Got a couple of little issues alongside this, and yeah, it was worthwhile for a couple of days of work. So, mentioned before about us implementing the software security, secure software normal lifecycle. Just want to give a bit of an overview of this. We implemented this within our test automation to try and reduce that feedback loop. For a long time, there would be the development process, then your test process, then release. We've got into the habit now where it's all in one, it's all one nice continuous feedback loop. But things like security and performance tend to be an afterthought or something which is to be sort of done after a project. This is all stuff you can do while your project's in development, while you're still learning what the approaches you're going to be taking. You can do it alongside your automation. The entire point of this wasn't anything that was brand new. This is already extending stuff we already had. So for very middle left field, we had something which was extremely rewarding. It was catching issues which we wouldn't have seen before without an external test. So we had ZAP runs through every single smoke test as well as mentioned. Also in the background we had SonarQube running against a developer commit, so that was checking all of the dev code and all of the test code. We then also had open source scanning solution, which ran a search against our repository, against our dependencies, making sure we were using the latest libraries, making sure we were using libraries which didn't have any known vulnerabilities, etc., etc. Which meant that our entire pipeline at this point had something in place. It wasn't perfect, there was always going to be room for improvement, but it had something on it, a very, very low sort of investment. So, overall summary, anyone can do it. I'm not a security expert, I'm a tester that has worked within a few businesses which are in the software security area. And just by having a look around some resources, we're able to find stuff for us to do. We caught issues, several issues through this. One example is like endpoint. We've got a lot more, especially in the UI. Even if they were just little validation bits and pieces, in the wrong hands, they could have been damaging. Same with any sort of type of testing. The earlier you can do it, the better for security. And the earlier you catch these issues, the cheaper it is. If you catch an issue at the requirement stage, it's the cheaper it can be, as cheap as it can be. If you're catching it during a regression run, it's still cheaper than it going out live and pulling it back. And one thing which we loved through this is we were re-architecting a massive solution, and all the way through we had these tests continuously running, being stable, being reliable, giving us feedback. And the entire dev team had confidence in what we were building and what we were doing. Not at once were we sort of slightly alarmed of what was going to be going on. Some resources there which I've used in the past. So the top 10 project is something which is it's great just as a to read through or to validate the OWASP reports and stuff against. Postman, great for API testing, great for exploratory bits and pieces like this. Fiddler, it's an industry known security tool for intercepting requests and playing around there. And on some of the slides, there's references to the big list of note strings, which is a GitHub repository, and a couple of bits and pieces. But I'll be sharing these slides afterwards via Twitter, and I'm sure you'll be able to, so any resources more on there. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Yep.
Do you encounter any resistance when you're running this test? Because in most of my work, we've tried to do this, we've basically had network team telling us, no, that's not, because like with support scanning.
So we had one benefit of the DevOps person on our team was me. So I was in constant contact with all the infrastructure team. A lot of our kit was in-house, it was in a server room. So anytime we did anything, we had a specific area where we could just isolate and go. Wherever we did anything which was going out to Azure, we notified Azure what we were going to be doing, which was basically all the time. And yeah, infrastructure opened up a couple of gateways for us. That was it really. Yep.
You mentioned that you can't replace the security expert, but do you reckon it can replace the sort of classic quarterly pen test that gets done in a lot of big companies?
I would say it can do. Obviously, we still had a small pen test at the end of this project. A lot more of a reduced scope. That was mainly due to clients who were selling our software to requiring it more so than us wanting it. And as it was, it cost us a lot less because the scope was a lot more reduced. We focused more on infrastructure and all of this stuff which were out of our remit of what we were looking at within our test automation. So I reckon it can do. I suppose it sort of depends on the business that you sell into. For some areas we still want that stamp to say. But yeah. Yep. Yes, so we had a it was a scalable. So we had infrastructure internal, which had VMIs installed, so we could basically scale between settings as we wanted. So all of it internal, it was just plugged against specific test environments, which was spun up for one person and turn down. Yep.
For things like testing expired tokens, did you have in the automation? Did you have like sort of tricks for
yes,
so tipping forward in time?
Yeah. So there's a couple of tricks which we used for basically pushing our tokens in that sort of way so we could believe it was all that it was. Things like Postman have the ability, I think, where you can send a request at a different time than when you say you have to send it from, so you can sort of smooth things in that way. But other than that, it is a waiting game. So our tokens expired after 10 seconds, we were really, really short of the tokens. So having a short wait for an expiration wasn't that time consuming, where things like Twitter, when I'm creating a token, all of a sudden your test times blew up.